Yes, many thanks for staying with us. Now we move on to the interview segments of the show this morning, where we'll be assessing President Tinubu's scorecard. It's 2 years already, and it will record that 2 years ago, the president was sworn in as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and 2 years ago, Nigeria took a decision where they decided with a vote, and the inauguration came with a lot of issues around it, particularly the declaration of the removal of free subsidy, which many Nigerians consider coming so soon and sudden. But amidst of all this, the president in the last 2 years have been receiving both kudos and knocks for his administration so far. And this morning, from economic reform to the removal of free subsidy and the ongoing fight against the insecurity and effort even to stabilize the naira. But the question is, what has really changed given to the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu ever since he took up the office of the president of the country? What has really changed? What had his scorecard? How can we say that the president, how far has he performed so far as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? That's why I said we'll be assessing President Tinubu's scorecard this morning and looking at some of the headlines, the front pages of our national dailies for today. I like them to put up the Punch newspaper for me, where we have the scorecard of the president enumerating some of the things or some of the achievements that he has done so far. Among them is the beneficiaries of some of the foreign fund, the loans and all of that. We have quite a number of them in the front pages of our national dailies for today. So this morning, we'll be assessing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's scorecard. And joining us this morning to have this conversation is Mr. Asundemade Maruf, political analyst. It's good to have you on the program this morning, sir.
Here. Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming. So President Tinubu has spent 2 years in office, and that means that we have in his mid-term of his tenure. So what will be your general assessments of his administration?
Yeah, thank you. We are here in Nigeria, and for me, it's been so far not so worse. We might not have gotten to where we expect to be, because when people troop out to vote in a new president, the expectations were usually high. And it was the same thing with President Tinubu, especially that when he came in, the economy was in doldrums. And what didn't help the matter was his pronouncement on the day of the swearing that he was going to do away with free subsidy. And after that, we knew how things went skyrocket, and things were so hard for Nigerians. But for me, I think we are getting some reprieve from some of the economic reforms he has been able to do. So that's why I said it is so far, but it's not worse.
All right. And this morning, one of the reports also saying that the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, also advised and encouraged Nigerians that some of this reform is not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take a time. And we can also recall that President Tinubu also mentioned that some of this reform are long-termed. But however, how about we having something that will take care of the present need of Nigeria? Because we are saying that long-term, and we have a lot of bottlenecks that Nigerians are grappling with at the moment. Can't we look at some review to all of these policies, particularly the one that can take care of the immediate or present needs?
So that's always been our problems in Nigeria. We want to get things easily, but we don't want to make sacrifice for those things to get done. When things got bad, it took, those things, they accumulated until they get worse. But when we want to, do things again, we expect that it will just do within a short period. And that, doesn't happen anywhere in the world. For me, I don't support that. There's nothing bad in putting in place palliatives to cushion the effect of the hardship. But there are times when palliatives we just go to prolong our sufferings. For example, when this issue of free subsidy removal took place, people were saying, why didn't the president remove it gradually? And I asked, How was he supposed to do that? Because in the, if you look at the previous administrations in Nigeria, all of them will say they are trying to ensure that Nigerians don't suffer. By the end of the day, we will have more suffering than what we used to have. So it is better for a president to come and have the boldness and political will to say, this thing has to stop. And I think we are beginning to see the gains of subsidy removal. When the subsidy was removed, we bought fuel as high as 141312. So what do we have today? After Dangote began to operate, and part of Portugal refinery also began to operate, we've seen what has happened now. At least for the first time in Nigeria, perhaps we are having a little downward adjustment in the prices of fuel. And for me, it's a plus. So if you are buying fuel per liter at the rate of less than 900 naira, from the higher price it was when the subsidy was removed, I think it's something that we can be hopeful for.
Okay, so looking back at 2 years now, would you say on the renewed hope agenda of President Tinubu, would you say it has to some extent met the expectations of Nigerians? Because there are a lot on that agenda.
Yes, there are. But it's difficult to say he has met, especially because Nigerians' expectations are so high that it will be difficult to even meet it in the next 10 years if the right reforms are not in place. But with what we've been seeing, there is some hope. That is why that renewed hope agenda is not something that you can drop in the trash can. It gives us, for example, we just talked about the reduction we are having in the first subsidy. Let us also talk about the education. In the last 2 years, we've not had that as well as strike. So, the academic calendar has been stable. Students were getting loans to pay. And usually, do you know how many students that have dropped out because they could not even pay, even when the fees were not high? But now, they get loans to pay their school fees, and government also give them stipends at the end of every month to keep budgets together. And that takes a whole lot of load off the parents who would have to struggle fight with their need to get this thing done. That's a plus for them. So it gives us some hope that things can be better in Nigeria. So and we also talk about the payment of some of our loans that we have. Debts are something that weighs down individual, let alone country. So there's no individual countries. There's no way we could not get loan, but it becomes bad when you get loan, you are not able to pay, or what you use to service that loan is, it's deep into the national budget, and I think that has been reduced now. When this addition came in, we are spending like 92% of our national budget to service loan. Service, not payment of the principal. Not payment, service. But now, I heard it's been reduced to like 60% or thereabout. That's a plus too. So it means that if they continue this way, things are going to go up.
Okay, Tinubu's renewable agenda was a major campaign theme, and there have been reactions trailing the execution of his policy. So how much of that vision and policies have yielded tangible results from everything that we have seen so far? Because a lot of reaction trailing that is that we sometimes, it's one thing for us to have policies, is another thing for those policies to be well implemented or executed. And we're actually putting intellectuals to see to the implementation of these policies and reforms of the president. So how much of it has yielded the expected results?
I think the apt example to cite in this instance is the issue of dollar-naira exchange. We see that one of the reforms that the president did was to ensure that there's stability in the regime of foreign exchange in Nigeria. And so far, what did we used to have between naira, dollar, parallel market, and the official market? The difference used to be so wide. But now, the gap is so close that even you as an individual, if you need to change your dollar to naira, you don't want to go to black market, having to undergo those stress. You prefer to go to your bank because the difference is not so much. So that's one of the things that has happened. It means that if there are no intellectuals, there are no technocrats putting in charge of that reforms, you might not be experiencing. And don't forget, in the last 1 year, thereabout, we've been having stability. So the naira dollar is been hovering around 1.650. It is not more than that. So I would say that at least we are getting some reprieves from the reforms that they have been doing. Look at also the issue of the tax reforms that the president took to the National Assembly. At least by the time it is in full swing, I think we are also, the country is going to be better for it. For now, we are getting so much money such that the states are able to even pay their debts. So if a state gets 3 times of what they used to get, and they are able to take care of some of their financial commitments, and they're also able to pay back debts, at least as Allah counts, DMO, Debt Management Office said, like three states in Nigeria are repaying their debts. So that's a plus too. And the chief cause of this is the subsidy removal. So, and when we were paying subsidy, it's not because we had the money on ground. We had to go and borrow to pay subsidy. But now, we are not paying subsidy, which means that even if we borrowed, we use that money for what will benefit Nigerians, not to pay subsidy that only the few will benefit from.
Now, you just mentioned the issue of debt, and yesterday there was a report that the president also is seeking the approval of the Senate for another foreign loan, amounting to maybe billions of naira now. Now, you just mentioned the fact that, and we've heard it over time, that a country that ought to thrive in development will actually bank on loans. That is understandable. But in the case of Nigeria, our repayment plan, it's not that solid. And not that now, kudos to the president that has cleared the IMF debt, but how about other debts? We have the AFDB, we have the Sukuk bond, and all of that. So what is happening to our repayment plan? How can we better it? Or is there a way we can actually reduce the debt burden on the economy?
Nigeria doesn't have any debt burden. And I think, and I will have to put this out there.
As much?
Yes, okay. But let me explain. And I will have to put this out there to the members of our constituency, which is journalism. I think there is so much misinformation about that loan that the president, because if you read the document the president sent to that, the loan being talked about is about $31 billion or something about. And it is not really a loan. There's something they call midterm expenditure plan. Yes, it's a plan. So it is not that it is that $31 billion that the government wanted to, but that money represents the money that we have creditworthiness to borrow. And it is not about federal government alone. It includes federal government and the subnationals, which are the state government. So it means that that money is the money that the federal government and the state government can access. So it is so when they report it, they misinform Nigerians about it. So Nigerians thought President Tinubu was going to borrow $31 billion. No, that's not the case. That's why we encourage our people, the media, to do research on government policies, on government plans, so that they're able to inform the general public adequately. So that is one. The second thing is that why I said Nigeria is not about my loan. If a country is not creditworthy, you won't be able to access $31 billion. That's a lot of money. Then the third thing is that if a government came in 2 years ago, and it's been able to clear like $10 billion of our debt, so that government is doing well. I don't think we have any government who has been able to pay debts as much as this government has been able to pay. But it doesn't mean that there are no other obligations that we will have to do. But what is important is for us. So that takes me to what you said about our repayment plan.
Okay.
So if we have enough funds to take care of national issues, then we find a way to be able to fashion our repayment in such a way that the burden will not be so much on what the government has to provide for the citizen. So that's what I'm saying. So Nigeria is not overburdened by any debt. A country overburdened by any debt will not have access to $31 billion between that can be accessed by the federal government and the subnationals.
All right, we'll be talking on assessing President Tinubu's scorecard as we mark his mid-term in office since he was inaugurated as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I'm having this conversation with Mr. Sunday Made Maruf, a political analyst. Now, let's talk about insecurity, because we saw a report this morning from some senators saying that Boko Haram resurfaced because of the 2027 election, and they went back that history to repeat itself. 2015, when they came into Nigeria, and that was when Nigerians were actually preparing for election. Now, during the manifestos, during the campaign promises, one of the campaign promises of President Tinubu is to provide a robust security infrastructure that could take care of insecurity and other forms of insurgency across the nation. But it seems we are not winning that battle anytime soon. What's your view on this?
Yes, I don't like it when politicians, when they bring excuse of some people, some fueling difficulties. Yes, if it happens, it is the duty of government to find a way to tackle it. We know that will happen because opposition will also find a way to discredit the ruling party. And there are things the ruling party will do to discredit the opposition too. We understand that. After this government came in, with some
It's
of
the APC senators that were saying this.
Yes, I know. They were. That means they were alleging that it was the opposition fueling this thing. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I hate to hear that. So if opposition is fueling it, let the federal government do something. If they have access to intelligence report that we don't have, let them act on them. We don't have that report, and those reports are usually classified. So if they have the report, let them act on them. When this government came in, there are security infrastructures it put in place, and we were winning the war, especially by the effort put in place by Nuhu Ribadu. But lately, there have been resurgence from the bandits, and it appears that they are winning the war. But let us also not forget that many of the heads of these bandits groups have been killed. And something we do. And when you kill their head, the tendency is that the foot soldiers, they become powerless. So I think that's what the government is strategizing.
Powerless and re-strategize.
They will. So that's why I said, if the government is on top of their game, so by the time you kill the head and the subordinates are powerless, you find a way to eliminate them. You don't give room to even regroup, let alone re-strategize. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So government still needs a lot to do, because whatever success government has been able to achieve in economy and education, everything will come to naught if the issue of insecurity is not tamed.
So, but it seems that everything is on the standstill now, and most of the attention are just on 2027 election, where we forget the fact that there are other challenges bedeviling the country.
It is usually that with people, after this second anniversary, what we have now is the issue of
the next election which campaign, is just 2 weeks to this time.
Yes,
2 years.
2 years, yes. But yes, and politicians will take 2 years to prepare. That is it. So, but they are just so President Tinubu will not take that route. It is better for him to consolidate on what he needs to achieve, so that by the time is into the 3rd year of administration, the Nigerians will see reasons to vote for him for second term.
Well, President has let's come down to the ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government, and even let's talk about the ministry that the president is also a minister, the ministry that the president is also a minister, being the head of the petroleum sector now. So the removal of fish subsidy and a lot of back and forth that has been happening in that sector, the upstream and the downstream sector, what do you think? Do you think the removal of fish subsidy has shaped or is shaping that sector, given to the fact that the president himself is heading that department or that ministry?
Yes, it is.
Because this morning there was a report that South Africa has taken over the importation of crude oil, and Nigeria is now behind South Africa in the importation of crude oil.
And because South Africa is not resting, and we're also not resting. We used to be.
We are not.
No, yes, we used to be to be above them. Now we are behind them. So they are not resting, and we are not resting, and that is competition will also happen. Will always happen in those sectors. And why I said what the government is doing in that sector will give us more results that we are seeing is that look at what happened when Dangote started operation. Those are then PC tried to frustrate him. And if not because of the doggedness of the man, I don't know what price will be buying petrol now as we speak. But because of that, Dangote refinery has come to stay. And through him, we are able to get cheaper petrol. At least, though it might not be cheaper to what Nigerians expect, but at least it is not up there like we used to have. So I think government is trying. And look at what government has done in NNPC 2. It has disbanded the board, and the new board has emerged. So let's see what the new board will come up, and we hope that they will come up with something that will interest Nigeria. I heard that, and the Kaduna refinery is also coming on stream. By the time that also comes up, we hope that it will have effect on the fuel price that we have. And also, what other thing? The issue of what other things now? Okay, let's continue.
All right. So now, looking beyond the presidency now, because we're talking about President Tinubu, and this May 29 is not just about the president. We have some governors too. Yes. So how would you rate the administration of particularly some governors? Maybe let's start with the Southwest. Looking beyond the presidency, how would you rate the performance of state governors and the National Assembly of late?
The senators, the reps.
The reps.
At least if the governors are up and doing, the pressure Nigerians heap on the president will not be so much. We expect that federal government will have to do everything. But we are forgetting that as we have national economy, we also have local economy too. And state governments are supposed to be in charge of local economies. So what are they doing? So fine, it is fine where you say you are building infrastructure, but are those infrastructures going to have direct bearing on the lives of the citizen? Part of the thing governors in the South especially are not doing is agriculture. They are not investing. What we have been seeing so far is just cosmetic arrangement in agriculture. Because by now, if you have spent 2 years and we have not seen tangible investment in agriculture, I don't know what we use the rest of the year when perhaps some of them want to go for second term, or if they are not going for second time, if it's their second term, they will be looking for a successor that will protect their interests when they live there. So they are not doing enough. Look at what is happening to rice now. So that brings me to this issue. Nigerians too, we have to be fair to ourselves. We have to be merciful to ourselves. As we speak, I think a bag of rice is between 54, 56 naira in the market as we speak. And we know what it used to be. It used to be like 100,000, 19,000, 80,000 naira. And what is the problem? Former President Buhari gave loans to rice growers to grow rice in abundance for Nigerians. But you just find out that they grow those bags of rice and the prices was exorbitant, if more than the price of the foreign rice. So, and as I was told, President Tinubu had to order that the Cotonou border be open. So, and that's the effect we are seeing now. So they are bringing in rice, and that's why the rice has come down. Every other commodity market has also come down. If you notice that from the Indomie and the rest of them, I'm sorry, the noodles and the rest of them they are buying, the semovita, you see the differences in price. So that's the thing they are saying. But if the governors are up and doing, I don't think any state in the Southwest should be complaining about high prices of food items.
So agriculture should be another sector, our oil well.
Yes. In actual fact, agriculture can overtake. And it's not because these things are not possible. Of late, our non-oil exports have been contributing more to national purse than oil exports. So that's what we are saying. It means that if the national government and subnationals, if they join hands together to do what they are supposed to do, Nigeria will have abundance. It is not enough for a state governor to say, what I've been collecting thrice of what I used to collect in the federal location. It is not enough. It is enough to say, okay, what are you doing with that fund that you are collecting? Do you just collect fund and you share it among your cronies, or you make investment that will impact directly on the people you are governing? So that's why we should learn to take up the governance through, not only the president.
So, but I think for this one that you just mentioned, it should start from the top, from the federal government. What about the Federal Ministry of Agriculture? What are they doing? It's not just, I remember that the president also said that it's not going to be business as usual, but for every ministers that do not perform as it is expected, they are going to show them a way out. So I think if you are talking about all of this reformation, it should start from the federal government. See,
when we say that we are giving excuses for this government not to perform, don't forget that federal government and states are autonomous of federal government. Federal government is not their boss. So that is why in the federal allocation, due to share it, there are percentage allocated to each of these types of government. So I understand that Federal Ministry of Agriculture is doing something on agriculture, but the federal is far from us. The states are closer to us. So let us concentrate on the state. Let us concentrate on the local government. That is why it is important for state governors to allow this local government to breathe. When they breathe, in actual fact, there are unused lands all over the places in Ibadan here. And especially in Nido, in Akinyele, and the rest of them. So if you have chairmen of the local government, if they have free hand to operate, if they invest massively, there will be employment for the use of black government. And at the end of the day, people will be able to buy food items at a rate that they can afford. So that's why I say, instead of saying federal government should do this, let us concentrate on the state governors and let us up it on the governor to allow this local government to breathe.
Yeah. So before I let you go, let's talk about what is going to be the future. In the next 2 years, this administration is going to come to an end for the first time, if they are going for the second time. So what's your viewpoint as we head to 2027?
Yeah, I don't expect President Bola Tinubu to go and sleep. I know he's a workaholic. And for him to be able to build on what he has been able to achieve, if he wants Nigeria to vote for him for second time, it is not going to come on a platter. So if he's able to do much more than what he has done now, he doesn't need to convince Nigeria. Nigerians would vote for him because Nigerians appreciate good things. So when they see good things, they will vote for him. I think he should concentrate more on better the life of Nigerians.
All right, I want to say a big thank you to my guest on the show this morning, Mr. Asunde Madi Maruf, as we assess President Tinubu's scorecard. It's the midterm of his administration. Recall that 2020, 2 years ago, he was sworn in as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Today marks it exactly 2 years that he became the president of the country. And of course, we've seen a lot of things that have been said, achievements so far in a scorecard, which was presented in virtually all the front pages of our dailies for today. But just as you know, Nigerians, the expectations are high. So we look forward to more robust, particularly in the place of implementation and the execution of all of these reforms and policy, to see to it that Nigerians are very, very comfortable with the administration of President Bola Tinubu. Once again, a big thank you to Mr. Asunde Madimari for your time on the show this morning. We'll take a break now to allow for sport update with Adibola Adike. Do stay with us.